Here we're going to learn how to use the new unique function in Excel, and it allows you to generate a unique list of values from a non-unique list of values. So to take all of the duplicates out of this table and nice neatly present it over here, and all with a single formula. And this is a really great thing we can now do in Excel, and I'm going to show you a bunch of different examples for how to use it. And this is part of a course I have on teachexcel.com, so take a look at the description for this video and there will be a link to it there. Before we start, check the video description and click the link to Teach Excel so you can download the files for the tutorial and follow along. And make sure to subscribe and accept notifications so you can see all the new tutorials. Now that I've set up the worksheet, let us begin. For this tutorial, I have a very simple sample data set. It is straight up text, a little table over here, and it has some duplicates. Some duplicates go all the way across the table, the entire row, and some just for parts of it, such as first and last name. So what we want to do here is to use a single formula to generate this unique list. This over here is the same data table as this, just with duplicates removed. So in this case, the second James Bond is gone. And it's just a single, simple formula. That is it right there, the unique function. And you do need to have a later version of Excel in order to use this, and it does have the dynamic array feature with it so that we only have one function, one formula right here, but nothing else over here. So if I delete this, all of that goes away. And this is just hard-coded text to make it look a little bit nicer. So let's use the unique function right now to generate the little table that we just had. Equals unique right down here. And you can see returns the unique values from a range or array. Here are the arguments. We have array, by column, and exactly once. I'll get to by column and exactly once a little bit later. It just says which way to sort and if you want to return values that only appear once or not. But usually how you're going to use it is just with the array argument. So you select the array of data and you hit enter. And you get uniques. But you do need to understand the way that it works. So notice that only one record was removed. That would be this one down here. Why didn't it remove Karen Muffin? Well, because Karen Muffin has a B right here, but an A right here. Otherwise, everything else is the same. So it counts uniques across the entire row of the array that you have selected. As you'll see in a moment, we do it with record numbers and names. It'll only do duplicates for that column or the selected columns in the array. So that's important to note because you may see over here, hey, I got a record number 5201. Now I got 5201 down here. That's a duplicate. But across the entire row, it is not a duplicate. There is no single duplicate across the rows here. And if you want the headers up here, you put them in. If you don't have to have them in there. That is really just window dressing. Now let's move over to the record number example. And that one is right here. Once again, a single formula. This time we've just selected a different array. So instead of selecting this entire table, we just select a single column from it. And in this case, you will notice that there are no duplicates in the record numbers like we had here with 5201 repeating itself. And of course, the header is just hard-coded in. Now let us continue on to the right. There's a really cool thing that you can do. You don't have to just select contiguous columns. You can actually select ones that are in whatever order you want. In this case, we've selected column D, and then we've concatenated it with an ampersand and put a space in between it, and then attached column C on it. So if we go over here, we can see that that is the last name and the first name column. So we are putting the first name in front of the last name, combining it and saying, hey, return a unique list of those names. And this is actually probably one of the cooler things you can do with this. So if I select all of this and then I hit F9 to calculate it in the cell and return what the function will see, we see a list right here of all of the names, but it's arranged first name, last name. And you can see the list for the entire data set, both columns that we selected, including the duplicates. So this is before the unique function has removed Karen Muffin and James Bond, which are the two duplicates. So then when we get out of here, you see that we have 4 unique names returned in a single column. And you could make as many variations of this as you want. So if we were to go over here, and this time let us add the last name, but now we're going to do a comma and then the first name. So now we will type our ampersand and then quotation mark. Look to the formula bar as I type this. You will see it completing. Then comma, space, close quote, ampersand, and select the next column. Close the function, hit enter, and all the way over here, we can now see it. Muffin Karen, Thanos Purple, Bond James, and Martian Marvin. So it allows you to do some pretty cool things. It's a nice feature to have. But now let's take a look at the last argument for this. And it is this one over here at the end, exactly once. So here we are going to combine the first name and the last name with the space between it, but we only want to show names that appear only once. So Purple Thanos and Marvin Martian, they each only appear once in this list. That is what the last argument controls. So if there are any duplicates, none of those duplicates will appear. Only the values that appear once in this list will then be shown. That can seem kind of confusing, but that's why I have the title up here, appear once. I think it makes it a little bit more clear what's going on. And to get to the third argument, notice the comma, comma right here. That skips over the unnecessary argument by column. You can see it has brackets around it because it is an optional argument. So for here you have true for exactly once, and false, you can see return every distinct item. That's the default. True, return items that appear exactly once. That's the setting we're using here. So if you need that, you can use it. Now what I want to do, since I've shown you the basics of how this can work, and I've shown it to you on a very basic data set, is I want to show you the perhaps slightly more proper way to use this function. All of these newer functions can be used on data tables, and the benefit of that is that when you add a value to the data table or change its size, these functions, dynamic arrays, when they spill down like this, the new values will be added. So if I went up here and I was going to add berry blue, type A, number 1, 2, 3, 4. These guys do not update. But now let us make this a table and show you how nice that is. So select in here, go to Insert or Control T, then Table. Check if it has headers or not. It's a very good idea to have headers with your data, especially when using unique by columns, which I'll show you in a moment. So here now we have a table, and a table, if you don't know, it's a special little thing that allows you to automate some of the tasks that you might perform on the data, including having dynamically adjusting formulas and functions. All that means is that when I add a value here, the unique function will automatically update. So let's go do what we just did a moment ago, equals unique. Select our array. Notice that we get a slightly different reference since this is the table. It now shows the table's name. It can seem kind of confusing at first, but once you start using tables a little bit more, you'll start to get used to it. And you'll see in a moment where we have the column names as well. So unique, table, 1. Here we have our nice, neat table. Once again, these are all hard-coded for the headers here. And this right here should be the same as this right here. So far, so good. Now let us add Mr. Blueberry. Notice that the moment I enter one thing here, the table's expanded down 1, and the value's already over here in our list. Now let's just continue adding it in. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, Mr. Blueberry, there you go. Now let us use unique, and you'll see some table references here. Let's go for the record number. Let me get this out of the way and scroll to the right. So you can see table 1 and then the header record number. So that's why you want to have headers for your table. It's a very good idea. Makes life much easier. So this references the entire column record number. And there we go. And this will automatically update as well when we add values over here. Now we will do it with the name. So just build the name equals unique. Go over here for first name. And now look to the formula bar. As we finish building it, you'll see the formula fill in. I'm going to do a space, ampersand, space. You can put a space before and after the ampersands when you concatenate like this. It's really up to you. You'll see me kind of go between both, but I find it a little bit easier if you do add the space in it. Now quotation mark, space, quotation mark. Now space, ampersand, space, and last name. And so you can see here now table 1 first name, table 1 last name. Now we'll hit enter. And there we go. I really like using tables in combination with these new functions. It makes it so nice to make formulas that will automatically update. So appear once. Let's go a little bit faster this time. First name, ampersand. I'm not putting spaces around the ampersands now, just go a little bit faster. And we skip over the third argument or the second argument and go to the third argument where we type true, return items that appear exactly once. Purple Thanos, Marvin Martian, and Blueberry. There we go. So if you can, you should try to use data tables like this. It will make your life much easier. But now let's go on to the second argument for the unique function, which is unique columns. All this means is that instead of checking uniques across rows, we're going to do it across columns. So if we go down here, and I will zoom out just a little bit. There we go. Equals unique. We select the same array for the entire table. By column, true to return unique columns, false to return unique rows. Let's get a column in there. Enter. And it is going to look exactly the same because each column is unique. And notice that the headers up here are hard-coded in. In a moment, I will show you what it's like if you do not hard-code the headers, which can be a good idea in this case. It may be a little bit confusing about what's happening here, so let's make some duplicates. If you have single values that are duplicated, like Muffin, Karen, those are not skipped over. It's only if the entire column is a duplicate. So let us go for last name and first name and make a duplicate. And it's very easy to get duplicate columns on real data sets, by the way, that aren't just a name and record number. So do not think that your columns are safe. Notice first name is now completely gone. So be very careful when you do it like this, because now we just lost an entire column of data. So I'm going to back that up. Now these are once again unique, and our data is back. Now let me show you a neat little trick where we are not going to encounter that same problem. Here we are going to include the headers. We are going to select the entire table. You know that you have the table selected when the formula says the name of the table, then hashtag all, comma, true to return unique columns. Close it up, and now we have the column header. Now it may not always be a good idea to pull in the column header like this, but just watch what happens when I do the same thing we did a moment ago. Actually, let us zoom out just a little bit more. Okay, and I will copy this, go over here, and paste this in. This one is gone. This one is not gone because the headers are different. So all of the data down here is exactly the same. So these columns could be removed except for the fact that the title for the headers is different. So that makes the columns unique. So it has not been removed over here, though it has been removed over here. So you do need to pay attention with unique. It can do some cool stuff, but be careful if you're using it on very large data sets, because you can very easily leave out some data points and may be a little bit confused later on. For instance, if you select all of this and copy paste values to freeze the data in there, and then you're not certain how you got that new list and where some of the values went. So just be careful using the unique function. It's very easy to use and it's very nice, especially in combination with a table, but you have to pay attention to the data set that you're going to use with the unique function. Otherwise though, it's a quite simple function to use and it is extremely handy. It's a very nice addition to Excel. And that's all for this tutorial. I hope you found it helpful. I hope you liked the tutorial. If it was helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe and accept notifications so you can see all the new tutorials.